Hey everybody, Ronald here, and I just wanted to do a quick video on something we're going to be working on pretty soon. We're going to be working on one of the most powerful tools in the Microsoft Office suite, which is Excel. So Excel is a wonderful tool for organizing and sorting all kinds of data, mostly numbers, right? But we can do lots of things with it. Um, People can make their careers off of Excel. If you are good in Excel, you probably will be highly desirable in many, many offices. So let's get to it. So I'm in my student folder and I'm going to left click and open an Excel workbook and we'll get started. And we're just going to go over the sum of the terms real quick. So right now, this little green rectangle that's highlighted, this area right here is called a cell. So right now I'm in cell A1. Well, what does that mean, right? I'm in cell A1. Well, what that means is these little letters and numbers are kind of like a navigation directory to figure out what cell you're in. So if I say, oh, go to cell C2, that means I'm going to go over here, right? And C2, this is your little navigation pane that tells you where you are, the name box. So now I'm in B4. So this is going to come in handy a little bit later when we get into more complicated stuff because you're going to need to know what cell you're in to do certain things. Another term I wanted to talk about is rows and columns. So if we go left to right, that's horizontal, that is a row. If we're up and down, that's a column. Okay, so if I say delete this column or insert this row, that's what we're talking about. That's a row and that's a column. So just like we said, Excel is a great way to organize data. I use it a lot for monthly costs to figure out what my monthly costs for certain things are. So we're going to do a quick expense sheet for the month just for basic living expenses. So I'm going to make up these numbers, but if you could follow along with me, that'd be great. So I'm going to go. First, we're going to have to do a header row. So we're going to label these sections so we know what goes where. So I'm going to call this one expense, and I'm going to say this one is called price. And I'm using my uh, arrow keys on my keyboard to navigate. So this is my left key, this is my right key, up, down. It's a little bit easier sometimes. You can use your mouse too, but I find that the arrow keys on your keyboard make it a little bit easier. So we got to start adding stuff. So I'm going to do rent. Most people have rent or mortgage. I'm going to call this 1,000 a month. And I'm going to do electric. Most people have electricity. And I'm going to do gas. You might have gas. I'm going to do internet. Okay, great. And excellent. So, what do we do now? Before I fill in the rest of these numbers, we need to do something a little bit more to this. So we're going to make this into a table. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to left click over in A1 in the top left hand corner. And now that I've left click here, this area is highlighted in green, this cell. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move down to the bottom right across from internet, and I'm going to hold down my shift key on my computer while I left click in this area. So this is kind of going to be a square. And now that that's done, I can go to insert, and then I can go to table, and it's going to create a table for me, and it's going to say this is the range that I'm working in, and I want to keep my table has headers selected. Okay, and excellent. So this is exactly what we want to look like. And I'm going to do one more thing before I keep going. I'm going to go over to this design button over here and left click on design, and then I'm going to go to total row and check that. And what that does, now I'm going to click away from it, so I'm back on my main page, is that will give me a total, a sum of all these numbers put together. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. So my electricity bill now, I'm going to say that's $75 a month. And I'm going to say and look at the number going up under total. Now I'm going to say my gas bill is 40, and I'm going to say my internet bill is 50. Okay? So very quickly, without having to do the numbers, this summed it all up for us, and I know that my total monthly expenses right now for like cost of living is $11.65. Very, very cool. Now, say I want to add something to this list. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to put my mouse next to the last row that we're working on, and I'm going to right click. And once I right click, I have some options. I'm going to go down to the insert row option, and it's going to create a space for us where we can add something. So now I'm going to click back in here, and I'm going to click on phone. Okay. And I'm going to make my phone, I don't know, another 40 bucks. Okay. And 1205. So that's a really quick example of how we can use Excel. Very powerful tool when we want to do monthly expenses. You could use this for your groceries, you could use it for your cost of living, all kinds of things. There's tons of features, but that's just a very quick summary of how to use it. And we're going to do some more exploration in the cloud of how we can share stuff and comment and do all kinds of collaboration. So it's going to be excellent. Thanks very much. See you in the next class.